it's a tough ordeal, right? It's not easy journey, right? It's a lonely journey. It's stressful at times, but I think if you have the right mental state, the energy, the right support ecosystem, you would be successful, definitely.
All right, welcome everyone to a special recording of the Fuel podcast, a podcast series as part of the Fuel, as the Startup Junkie network of podcasts. We're here recording and meeting with some of the incredible founders that are participating in this year's Fuel AI ML cohort. And I'm excited to be joined today by Sanjay Ahuja of Believ.ai. How's it going?
It's going good. Yeah, thanks for getting me on the podcast. I really appreciate you calling me in.
Absolutely. Well, I apologize for walking us through this poor intro start here, fumbling over my words, because we're essentially launching our own special version of the podcast for Fuel, and so excited to have the opportunity to get your stories on the show and to chat. So we typically like to start out with, Jeff calls it the Wolverine origin story. Go back, tell us the Sanjay origin story.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to be here. So let me kind of quickly tell you about me as a person, and then kind of get into what we do, right? So I've been in the corporate world now for about 27 years. Worked across multiple continents. Started working in India, Asia Pac, moved to Middle East, Africa. Did a lot of work in Dubai, and then moved to the US in 2018. After doing so much of corporate life, right, I thought it's a great opportunity to try and put my hand in entrepreneur, because there's always an entrepreneur in me.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, I was actually like an intrapreneur, so like when I moved to Dubai, I was given a green field, right? We never had a Middle East Africa operations, and they asked me to build a business from grounds up. So we started building that step by step, and in 6 years we had a team of about 110 people, $35 million business. But obviously it still had a brand behind it, right? And I wanted to create my own brand. It's always different, right? Because if you're working for a large company, there's a weightage of the company itself, but individually, how can you create that, right? So when I moved to the US, I thought it's a great opportunity to do something for my own self, right? So I did a few consulting gigs, and that was 2018. And a few of my consulting gigs actually dabbled into AI space, and AI was very early at those days, right? You can imagine, right? I mean, after ChatGPT, it just blew out, right? Everybody now knows AI. Even like a joke, a dog also knows what AI is, right? But through that journey, I realized that nobody's working on the ingredient of AI, which is the data, right? Because it's like garbage in, garbage out. And that's the uplift, which is very difficult. So I started a business called Intellect, and we started building that piece by piece on helping companies onboard clean data. And it was very successful because data was a challenge, right? Everybody was struggling with some kind of issues on the data side, whether it was just data, image, video, whatever it is, right? So if you look at Tesla example, it needed millions and millions of annotations to actually get a self-driving car. So it's a true AI example. But that was a big company. There were a lot of mid-sized companies really struggling to onboard that. And I realized that there's a great opportunity. So we built that. And through one of those references, I actually helped a company set up the data infrastructure for onboarding merchants. So it was a crypto exchange company. And they were taking 60 days to onboard merchants. And you imagine, right, in 2022, Bitcoin and crypto was all-time high, right? Everybody's talking about accepting Bitcoins. And the merchants wanted to transact in Bitcoin. So they always wanted like, hey, can I take a Bitcoin and get exchange in dollars? And that's what the company was helping in. But it was taking about 60 days. And through that help, we actually discovered that there's a massive opportunity on the whole platform as a license of building an onboarding platform. And that got us into Believ. So we started doing a customer discovery, and I think that's where we are today as Believ.ai, which is fundamentally a AI-powered onboarding platform helping supply chain, logistics, marketplaces onboard their merchants, their suppliers, their vendors, right, in a very digital fashion where we have bespoke workflows which are very customized to them and has a front end at the front, right? But I'll talk a little bit later about that. But that's how my journey kind of evolved, being a corporate entrepreneur to a true entrepreneur.
And so who's the ideal customer for Believ.ai?
So the ideal customer is an organization who's onboarding a lot of small, medium businesses. So let's take an example of one of our customers, which is basically a big trading company, which is onboarding a lot of suppliers, vendors, wholesalers, right? It's a food organization, right? Who basically buys a lot of raw material or food from a lot of suppliers and distributes it across the globe. Now, you can imagine that these customers really want to know who they're onboarding, because you just cannot onboard anybody, right? Because there's a sense of insecurity. There are bad actors. People might use their platform to do some dubious thing. So there's an element of fraud which actually creeps in. And that's my ideal customer, right? So if you take marketplaces, these are like a typical ICP for us, right? Or you take lending as a company or payments as a company, right? These are my ICPs, because what's payment company doing? Take an example like a Stripe or a Square. They're onboarding merchants by the day. I can imagine that the velocity of onboarding has to be quick. So you can't compromise on the velocity, but you cannot compromise on fraud. So it's a mix of both of them to ensure that you have a stable infrastructure to be able to do on both sides. So that's our ideal.
And you are based in Atlanta currently.
That's right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the experience here in Arkansas. So you're participating in the Fuel cohort. How did you come to connect with the Fuel program, and what prompted you to say, I'll come to Arkansas?
Actually, it's a beautiful story. First of all, we didn't know about Fuel at all, right? And it was one of our close friends who had been through the program. And I think about May or June, we just reached out to him just for like, hey, what's up? Haven't heard about you. And he's been through this program. And we just told how we're building the business and how we want to do it. And he said, why don't you apply for this Fuel program? And honestly, I didn't even know that Fuel as an accelerator existed. And I said, where is it? He said, it's out of Bentonville. I said, okay, Bentonville. I've heard the city, but never been there. He said, yeah, Arkansas as a state is really supportive about entrepreneurs, and you should apply for it. We did some research and we realized that that's a great opportunity. And then we applied for it. And when we got selected, and I heard that there was quite a tight selection procedure. So we were pretty happy about getting selected into the program. And when we landed our foot on the Bentonville, it was a big surprise for us in a positive way, because the whole city had a big vibe of supporting tech, supporting entrepreneurs. And there was an internationality of helping people, right? They were really pushy about saying, I want you to make successful. And that's a very different kind of a culture, which we haven't seen in many other cohorts or accelerators. So wonderfully surprised to be there. And I think the journey has been extremely rewarding.
Yeah, I would say for folks that have not spent any time in Arkansas or Northwest Arkansas in particular, they often, I feel like that's a common refrain. I was surprised. We work with and have done programming with ventures across Southeast Asia and specifically in South Korea. And, I've had the opportunity to host some of those founders in Northwest Arkansas, and 9 times out of 10, they've never heard of, Bentonville, Northwest Arkansas, until you start to talk about some of the companies that are here, in our backyard. But as a actual community, it's an interesting experience for a lot of people. I feel like I'm biased, obviously.
Yeah. But I would say that the vibe, the buzz is very, very intense, right? And I love that. For a city like Bentonville, which is not like a big city, like a Bay Area or Boston or Chicago or even Atlanta now, I think they're doing far more than everybody knows about it. So it's probably the best hidden secret, I would say, in the US, right, in terms of entrepreneurial support. So definitely is there. And And just to kind of add, not just the people part of it, I think the whole infrastructure which you guys have, the University of Arkansas, the facilities you have, the lay of the land, I think extremely beautiful, right? Love the weather. And I think I've been more conscious about it. And I think I've taken the best out of this place.
So when do you move?
When? Very soon, actually. You never know, because we've actually got some great introductions and we are pitching very hard. So I'm sure we get good results. The moment we get some results, right, we'll start actually hiring people locally. Awesome. I mean that's really the plan, because you need to have consistent touch with your customers or partners, right? Because it's just not one time that you come and go. And I think this is a relationship for a lifetime, because we also made some great friends, through the cohort. So I carry a lot, and I would say not carry back, but carry with, because I'm going to come back, right?
Well, I'll be the first one to get you a housewarming gift too if you decide to.
Sure.
So I find it interesting too that we've had several Atlanta-based founders come through the program. So I'm curious if there are, what the similarities are, what the line is through that to have that commonality. That I feel like there's an outsized number of Atlanta founders.
So let me start with the non-similarities. Traffic, because traffic is crazy in Atlanta, and which is not in Bentonville. So we love that, right? It's a light of a healthy city. A lot of people are biking, walking. So
it would make people here appreciate the traffic here to go to Atlanta and set traffic.
Exactly. Yeah, but I would say that what probably connects, and it's a great question, but I would say the entrepreneurial ecosystem, right, in Atlanta and Bentonville are pretty similar, right? But that's more focused towards, I would say, fintech. Atlanta is a big fintech hub. Anybody who wants to go beyond fintech, especially like supply chain, logistics, marketplaces, right? Bentonville has that infrastructure, right? So it's a very complementing kind of a cohort. So you kind of get best of both the worlds. That's one. And I think Atlanta is a big city with a small community. So the word of mouth spreads very quickly, right? So that's how we got to know about this program. And I'm going to kind of extend my experience to my friends or companies who are planning to again apply next year and tell them more about it. And actually, people already know about it because when I now go back to Atlanta, I'm fairly ingrained into the ecosystem of Atlanta. I'm on the board of TIE, which is a nonprofit. I'm also on the board of FinTech Atlanta and a part of ATDC, which is an accelerator for the Georgia Tech community. So people are already started asking me questions like, tell me more about Fuel, right? What's like? Because we've actually made some noise, and thanks to you guys, where you've actually positioned us very well in the LinkedIn ecosystem, people have started asking questions about it. So I think the word is getting spread out. So you'll see probably more Atlanta companies applying.
It's rewarding to know that there is still that grassroots, organic, reach element to that as well in the digital world that we live in. That word of mouth is really a driver as well. Because that's kind of where I was prompting that question to go to. But as probably the biggest Atlanta Braves fan this side of the Mississippi River, I like to visit Atlanta myself too. So go back and forth every summer.
You should, and you should actually be a fan of Go Dogs now. I mean, it's like the best teams. Our college football teams.
Oh, nah. I'm a Razorback through and through, for better or worse. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, though. But it's just born and ingrained.
Yeah.
So tell me, what does success look like for the next 2 to 3 to 5 years for you?
Sure. So as we build Believ, right, which is a smart onboarding platform, I think success for me is about 3 or 4 things. One is, can we scale the business very quickly, right? Add more and more logos into the portfolio. So that's one. The second thing is we are looking at serious investing or investments next year, right? So if we're able to get strategic investors, which will help scale up, we define that as a significant success point, right? The third is actually building a great team. Because it's really the team which builds the culture, and then culture builds the success. So we're quite conscious about it, and we want to bring in the right talent with the right culture, right? So that's defined as one of the success parameters. And then I think for me personally, it's about really enabling our customers, right, to ensure that they onboard their customers in seconds and minutes and not in days or weeks, which is what today is. They do it with their bespoke technology and build and use our platform as a part of their DNA, so that they are successful, right? So if my customer is successful, I'm successful. So I think fundamentally these are 3 or 4 things we really look at, and I would benchmark myself as a metric as we keep going forward.
And if you were, so that was looking ahead. So if you were to look back, say maybe hop in your time machine back when you were still in the corporate world or before launching the precursor to Believ, and you had the opportunity to give your younger self advice based on the accumulated knowledge that you have now, what advice would you give your younger self?
That's a great question. So,
Bitcoin.
And I thought about it, and I'm actually telling my kids about that, right? So I have 2 boys, 25 and 20, right? And the older one has just got into the corporate world, and I would give them. I consider myself as the younger version of that, right? So get to the corporate world, get to know the processes, the way they build businesses, but don't be a follower. Right? Be a leader, be inquisitive, ask questions, don't take it by the day, right? Saying this is the job which is given to me. And I would say, as a younger self, I should have been an entrepreneur in my 30s, because I think there's a massive opportunity. It's a tough ordeal, right? It's not easy journey, right? It's a lonely journey. It's stressful at times, but I think if you have the right mental state, the energy, the right support ecosystem, you would be successful, definitely, right? And I would say that if I was, that was the advice I would have given to me and to my kids, that be an entrepreneur at an early stage of life. You'll be very successful. You'll fail. I mean, that's fine, right? But you'll learn from your failure and actually move on to build something bigger and better. And nothing wrong in a corporate life, but I'm just saying that if you have the passion to create something, you should do it at an early stage of life and not do it too late.
Start sooner, fail faster.
Exactly.
So for our audience that would like to connect with you, maybe learn more about your story, or to learn more about Believ, where would you send them?
Yeah, absolutely. So please come and reach out to us, right? So Sanjay at Believ.ai, that's my email. Consider us as a trust layer infrastructure for merchant onboarding. Look at our website, www.believ.ai, or reach out to Fuel website. I'm sure you'll find us there, or on our LinkedIn stage. But we are here to help companies really fast track their onboarding with an element of trust and speed, and build a superior customer experience, right? So believe in Believ. I'm sure you will not get disappointed.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
It's a great conversation.